Hello everyone and welcome back to the Explain series. Today we are going to be covering the purple streamer of Paper Mario the Origami King while taking as little damage as possible. Before we can actually set sail for the Great Sea, we're going to need Captain D'Ode. So we reluctantly go there, and we don't have to worry about taking damage since there are no hazards on the way to the Sun Altar. I also decided to buy some items at the shop so that it can prove essential for the purple streamer chapter. After getting the Super Marino out of the Musée Champignon, we can finally get the sea chart and set sail for the Great Sea. After we obtain the sea chart from Captain D'Ode, we're not ready to set sail yet. That's because we are going to need the extra speed boost for the ship, but it costs 5,000 coins. So I decided to go back to various areas from all the other chapters we've already gone over and go grind coins by just playing battles over and over again. As long as I had powerful items for the stronger enemies just to make sure that I dealt the most damage to them, I was able to make it through to 5,000. Unfortunately, there were a couple of ring lineups that I didn't know how to do, so I just spent a lot of that money. And I even reset the game at one point. But nevertheless, I was slowly climbing up towards that 5,000 milestone for the coins. I came pretty close by Autumn Mountain, but I started to have to drain them so that I could figure out what to do. Remember, just as a recap, if you haven't watched the Red Streamer video when I already went over this, if you want to avoid taking damage in battle, you have to get a successful lineup. Every time. And I mean every time. After 30 minutes of grinding, I eventually reached 5,000 coins by the time I got through to Scorching Sandpaper Desert. We can finally head back to Toad Town and set sail for the Great Sea. So the first island we have to go to is Bonehead Island. In case if you were stuck on this, here's the puzzle and how you're supposed to solve it to be able to get through this island. Now that we've made it to the nose of the skull and interacted with the toad statue, we can finally blow the fog away and make our way through the rest of the chapter. Crescent Moon Island is next, so we can move on to the next part of the chapter. But for the fishing minigame, I strongly recommend you to turn motion controls off. If you're not familiar with the physics, when you have motion controls on during the fishing minigame, I literally can't do it with motion controls, so I had to do it. Thus meaning our first real battle, not including the coin grind, is against a sidestepper. There isn't much to say about this fight since our regular hammer is strong enough to be able to take them all out. I also got a shiny Tanuki tail in the process because why not? Our next step is to use the Earth Elemental to turn the island into a full moon. This causes the treasure chest to become accessible, so we can go to Mushroom Island. I went back to Toad Town and got an upgrade for the heck of it. After getting the ship's upgrade, it can drive twice as fast, 5 times as fun, and 1,000,000 times more dangerous. I'm not sure if the third one applies, but the first two obviously do. I decided to take a detour and go to the Princess Peach so we can get the max-up heart worth 20 heart points. And then I went to the star compass on the sea chart so we could get the canned heart at the bottom of the sea. And then I took it to Autumn Mountain because that's where it can be opened, so that we can get an extra 5 health points. We need all the health that we can get for this challenge, so that's why I decided to get it. We aren't going to be getting all of them, but I will be getting most of the max-up hearts. As you can tell right now, that I have 145 HP, and we can finally set sail for Mushroom Island after all of that. After we insert the mushroom handle into the doorknob, on Mushroom Island, we finally meet Luigi, and he gives us the key to get to Diamond Island. But we got a little detour to take before we go there. We gotta go down to the basement and meet Origami Craftsman. So we pull him out of the wall, we learn about his whole origami spiel, and then we get the notes needed for the final fight. And now we can finally go to Diamond Island. Before going to the Ice Elemental Mountain and fighting against it, I decided to go ahead and take down the Trial of Power, since I could just use the Earth Elemental to access it without need for the Ice Elemental. So I went ahead and did that so we could get the Power Orb, and now we can head towards the Ice Elemental Mountain. In the second area, when I was going up to the Sledge Bro, dropping icicles all over the place, this happened. I don't even know how I managed to avoid the hammers, but I'll take it. I even did it in my Let's Play video as proof, go watch it. Anyways, this battle is a little confusing, but it's really not that bad. You just have to move the Sidestepper 2 to the left, move the Sledge Bro to the innermost ring, and then spin them both to the right. As for the Sledge Bro, it's got a lot of HP, and I wasn't so sure if I had any weapons that would be able to take them all down. So I looked through my weapon status, and it turns out that I don't have anything stronger than the Flashy Iron Boots. So I decided to go with the Flashy Iron Boots and see what they did. And it turns out, with 1.5x damage, it deals enough damage to take out the Sledge Bro in a single hit. And I just used the Flashy Iron Boots for the other group of Sidestepper and Ice Bros, so we can move on to the next wave, no problem. Maybe that second wave was a little too easy to get through, but I'll take it. Our next obstacle is this puzzle, where we have to break a bunch of rocks in the correct pattern so we can be able to make it to the half magic circle. I don't even know how it was cut in half, but these sliding panels are not really that big of an issue. Although I did have to make a bit of a reset at this point. Good thing there's a save block nearby so we can use it. Nevertheless, this puzzle's really easy to solve as long as you know what to do in it. The next area is absolutely brutal. We have to climb a whole tower, while there are snow spikes throwing snowballs down at us that deal major damage. We obviously can't let any of that happen, so we are going to need to make it to the pockets where we can just chill for the snowball to pass by, or you can hit them with your hammer, but it's much harder to do that. You can run back down to a previous pocket if you need to, like I am doing while there's a not bottomless hole in this one. There are a couple of visual cues that can get you through, no problem, but if you want to try this challenge out for yourself, good luck with this part. Now that we've made it to the top, we're forced to fight a snow spike before we can move on. The snow spikes were lined up in a way where I had no idea how to line them up, so I just fiddled around with the rings for a while. Yeah, it was not fun. I decided to cheer the toads to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do, but nevertheless, we pulled through. Here's how you're supposed to get through the next puzzle. And now it's time to get through the Ice Elemental boss fight. This boss fight has been beaten in a minimum of 7 turns, so we're going to do just that in order to move on. For turn 1, I go forward, pass by a treasure chest so we can expose the on switch, and then use a fire flower on the boss. Here, we take our first batch of damage. With the Guard Plus accessory we got in the Yellow Streamer episode, we take a total of 27 damage. For the second turn, we go forward, pass by an on switch, and land on a Fire Elemental magic circle. The Ice Elemental attacks with Bear Claw, dealing 32 damage to us when we block, bringing the counter to 59. For turn 3, I go left, then forward, pass by an on switch, and land on a 1FA pad. We can last this whole turn without taking any damage because the Velelemental is too dizzy to attack. For the next turn, I go forward, then left. I pass by an envelope because I don't have enough ring moves to get it out of my way. I go forward, pass by a 30 heart, and then land on an action panel so I can use a shiny fire flower on the boss. With the Ice Elemental's attacks, we get hit by Cold Claw, which deals 39 damage to us, bringing the counter from 59 to 95. The numbers were just swapped at that point. For the next turn, I go left, pass by an on switch, and then go forward to a Fire Elemental magic circle in the third ring. After we deal damage to the Ice Elemental with fire, we get attacked by Bear Claw, leading us to taking 24 damage, bringing the counter to 119. Next turn, I go forward, then right, pass by an on switch, go forward again, and land on a 1FA pad. The last turn is a bit tricky. The Ice Elemental freezes almost the entire arena as its move called Ice Maze. It's possible to get through this no problem if you take a screenshot of the maze before it starts getting mixed up, and then you can refer to it that way so that you can solve it. Here's how you're supposed to solve the puzzle, and what I do with it. I go forward, then left, then forward again, pass by an on switch, go right, then all the way to the outer ring, pass by a 50 heart, and land on a 1FA pad. Now that Olivia can turn into the Ice Elemental, the other 2 temples are now accessible. So we go into the trial of wisdom and absolutely struggle for a while to be able to get through it. Yeah, the first 2 questions are usually no problem if you know the answers to them, but the third question is absolutely brutal. Even by making it easier, we are stumbled by the time we make it to this question. We're supposed to speak to all 3 figures and pick the one which is lying. Spoiler alert, it is not the one that says I am not the liar, because they are obviously lying when they say that. Well, sometimes. You will struggle with which one you choose, because if you don't know, you will probably get it wrong. And let me show you what happens if you get a question wrong. If we get a question wrong at any point, we are sent sinking into a quicksand pit, and then spat out back at the main lobby. Don't worry if you get a question wrong in the Trial of Wisdom. You can keep trying as many times as you need to because no damage is taken upon sinking into the quicksand. After a few more failed attempts at the quiz, I managed to hit the game-winning answer.
Hooray! You're the wisest of the wise, Mario.
That just leaves us with the Trial of Courage, where we are supposed to pull a rope and then wait until the object goes below the arrow before we immediately stop it. If we fail to stop it before it crushes us, we go back to the beginning. That didn't happen to me on the first or second stages, but I'll just have you take a look at the third stage. If you miss your shot at pulling the rope right before that thwomp crushes you, don't panic. No damage is taken once you will return to the lobby. And with that, we can get the Courage Orb and make our way to Sea Tower. But when I got to Sea Tower, there is a purple pipe labeled with a 4 on it. I decided to take that pipe to go back to Toad Town and get some more items for the tape boss. Because tape... oh my god, tape. Well, we'll get there when we get there. But for now, let's talk about the Sea Tower. It starts off with a bunch of moving pillars over a spike pit. If you mess up at all when getting through this, you'll take 7 damage and you'll have to reset. I recommend using the save point from returning to the Sea Tower from the pipe if you're going back to get items from Toad Town. The spikes with the horns are perfectly safe and you don't have to worry about them. And you have to get completely accurate to be able to stand a chance. After that obstacle, we make our way to the water elemental portion of the tower, and we face off against a side stepper that won't give us its precious gem. I didn't even notice that you can take out side steppers with 1 hit without having to battle them at all until my Let's Play video. You just gotta have the right health value. The rest of the tower is pretty easy to climb up, although with this puzzle in the Fire Elemental section, you might want to make a guide showing which panels that you're actually supposed to touch, because if you touch one wrong panel, you'll have to go back to the save block and try again. Luckily, the save block is just nearby. You could just put numbers. You can number it 1 through 13, and place the numbers on the panels that you're supposed to step on. I did that in my Let's Play video, and if you want to try this challenge out for yourself, you can refer back to that video, because I made the guide. I actually deleted it, so I couldn't really refer back to it, but I memorized it. Anyways, the Ice Elemental's teeth are now melted, and we can finally make our way to the tape boss. The tape boss is extremely unfair and difficult to do while getting the lowest damage possible. It took about 45 minutes before I was able to get a successful attempt. This was the best that I could come up with. Turn 1, I used a fire flower in the innermost ring, so that I could rip apart half the dispenser and cut the boss down to half health. The boss attacks with Dispenser Smack, dealing 12 damage to us, bringing the counter to 131. For turn 2, we use a fire flower again, but this time from the back of the dispenser, so we can move on to phase 2, in just 2 turns. Throughout the rest of the fight, it's going to be much harder to be able to attack, because most of the rings could be taped together. I wasn't able to win it with just magic circles, so I decided to swap out my broken, flashy hammer to the gold hammer. It only deals 3 damage, but it gives me a ton of coins doing so. The boss attacks with Sticky Drill this turn. It deals 33 damage, bringing the counter to 164, and then the rings are taped up once again. On the next turn, I decided to go for more coins since I'm going to need them to extend my time limit, so I used the gold hammer again. We have to endure Sticky Drill again, but this time it deals 30 damage, bringing the counter to 194. I couldn't get to a 1FA pad since there wasn't one available, and 90% of the ring was taped together, so I decided to go for the Fire of Elemental Circle instead. The boss attacked with Sticky Drill once more, this time dealing 27 damage, bringing the total to 221. On the next turn, I could move the rings like normal since the tape was only applied to the innermost ring, horizontally rather than vertically. So I was able to take out the boss's most of its health. I do recommend turning motion controls off for this, so that it'll be a bit easier, so that you can peel it down. Now he is down to about a quarter of health, and he attacks with Sticky Drill again, bringing the total to 253. On the next turn, I don't attack, I just create a path to turn on the magic circles, and then Sticky Drill strikes once more. It deals 32 damage again, so we're at 286 damage. Next step, we burn off all the tape using Fire of Elemental, because we can't get close with Thousandfold Arms. Next, the boss attacks with Sticky Drill again, and it depletes all of our health. It would have dealt 30 damage if it wasn't for the fact that we had 29 HP, so we're counting it as 29, bringing the total to 315. I've also fortunately carried a 1-up mushroom along with me, so we could continue to fight. And then next turn, I finally, and I do mean finally, after all of these failed attempts at this one boss, due to its unfairness, can use the 1FA pad to obliterate it. Now, we are done. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. This video took a lot of editing and editor crashing to piece together. Blame my editor for being dumb. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, consider subscribing. Let me know of any strategies on what you think we can do to shave the score down for the tape boss. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.